Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday, March 30, year of our Lord 2026. My Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me it's 9:09 and change. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it because we are making things right in this world. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and his Great Eastern Roofing Systems. We lost them this year, but celebrate them today thanks to John. Like Joseph Anticoli of Scranton, William Checho of Scranton, and Joseph Mastelar, Benton. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, amazing, irreplaceable founding fathers who knew and said that government is not, should not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, for the first time in history, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, because of our commitment to common sense, we promise that because of it, because we believe it, because we ooze it, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of this morning. And thus we gavel to order this meeting, today's meeting, of the Club for Common Sense on the Bob Cordaro Show. So the No Kings happened over the weekend. A bigger collection of dummies and phonies you will never see. You really won't. It's unbelievable. And Rob O'Donnell asked a very important question. There were pictures of the rally that appeared to have been taken from inside the courthouse. And they just happened to come when Looney Tune, absolute idiot, Bill Gaughan was speaking. Yeah, so was someone in the courthouse when they shouldn't have been? We'll see. We don't know who. And again, it's a group of lightweight non-thinkers, and as always, funded across the nation by George Soros, Singham, the Arabella Group, all the usual suspects put this together, buying signs, paying for blow-up balloons, and whatever the hell else they did. Dear Lord. It's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing that many people, and I mean, it was hundreds, I guess, in Lackawanna County and Luzerne County on the public square. And some people are just curious. Some people just go to where there's a crowd. I get it. But so if you had 50 people in both places, it's frightening that there's anyone that dumb, and I had said it. I said, if you're an employer, you should drive by just to make sure who you do not hire, because they're too stupid to tie their own shoes. Yeah. So, how about this? Here's a Trump derangement syndrome. They can't get over it. The little opening we played, and I found this and actually switched mid-weekend. So that was a great opening about what people want when they are dying. Everything opposite of what Trump wants. How the hell does Trump come into this? Stop being stupid. Please. Could you? Could you even try? By the way, on my snail mail on Friday, and I love when I get mail here, I get this thing, love your show and listen every day. Thought you would like to see what Mayor Brown of Wilkes-Barre is doing for the city and its residents. Quite a comparison to your pothole city and Mayor Do Nothing. I wish she could have seen this ad. It would certainly take her back a step or two. I hope somehow she finds out about it. Take care and keep up the good work. A steady listener. So they remained anonymous, but they sent me an ad in. Now, you know the condition of the streets in Scranton. It is Fallujah after a strife, or after after a jet basically strafed the roadway. And I filmed it and I put it on Facebook. And people are like, oh, my God. And it's worse driving on it. Quite amazing. But Mayor Brown, some people think, well, okay, Bob's anti-Democrat. Well, I'm not anti. I'm anti-insanity. We've got a left-wing incompetent Looney Tune as the mayor of Scranton. So because, and I state this often, you go 90% of left-wing lunatics, they're incompetent at their jobs because, number one, they have no self-awareness. That means there's no capacity to self-correct when you're doing something dumb. It sounds like our mayor. Second of all, they have no relationship with truth, fact, and reality, so they're just living in a world that they've created for themselves. Sounds like our Mayor Cognetti again. She wants to spread her disgrace and incompetence to the United States Congress, and we've got to make sure that doesn't happen. But the point was, this great listener sent me full-page ad that Mayor Brown of Wilkes-Barre put in the paper. And he's asking, he's got a pothole hotline. It's quite amazing. And it also links to PennDOT, because a lot of roads, which you may or may not know, are state roads. And Cutie and I were driving around over the weekend and downtown Scranton, and like in front of City Hall, there's these ridiculous holes and bumps. If you ever went to work, Mayor Cognetti, you would know about these, and you would have done something about them. It's frightening. So, yeah, Mayor Brown, thank you for this to the steady listener. Mayor Brown's looking to fix potholes. Paige Cognetti's looking to run for Congress and rally lunatic leftists for money and support. It's quite amazing. And by the way, another great article, and I got sent it by a number of people. Selena Zito. She writes, I think, for the Washington Times. And she's a Pennsylvania observer, like basically looking at her as, hey, you know Pennsylvania. And she's writing about all the union support that Rob Bresnahan's getting. Because these are normal working people. They have to. They're not in government. They're normal working people. And they are deserting the mayor in droves because they've watched what she did. vis-a-vis union workers, albeit public union workers, and they're supporting Rob. And deservedly so, by the way. But a great article by Selena Zito, and it says, you know, all of these formerly Democrat voters are getting it. They're getting that the left-wing lunatics like Cognetti they're just awful at what they do, and they use the unions for support and votes, but they're really only about left-wing lunacy, and that's all they care about. So, and by the way, the fact that one mayor, Mayor Brown, takes out full-page ads and says, how could we fix the roads? Please let us know where we've got problems to deal with. And the other mayor could give two spits. The mayor of Scranton says it all. It really does. Hey, let's take a break. Bob Cordaro, somebody says, we rode on the top of our strikers in Iraq. This is a veteran now. He says, and I can confirm some roads in Scranton are worse than Iraq. It's a shame we can agree on that, says Tom from... It's sad. All right, we'll take this break. Let's hear from our great sponsors. A little history, a little music, and then you at 570-883-0098. I have no idea where Murph finds these songs, but he tells us. On this day, 1957, Buddy Knox became the first rock artist to write his own #1 hit with Party Doll. And there it is. And before that, 1867, a great, sometimes you've got to see around the corner. And U.S. Secretary of State William Seward, he reached an agreement with Russia to purchase the territory of Alaska for $7.2 million. They called it Seward's Folly, but it certainly was not. He bought Alaska. So, back with you and the program. Tom from Dallas has said, no king protests from the party that hasn't had a legitimate primary in at least 2 or 3 presidential elections. It's amazing the Democrats know what a king is, but don't know what a woman is. Yeah, the hypocrisy, the stupidity is frightening. And somebody texts in the Times Leader, a leader of Action Together says they are against billionaires and millionaires. Yet those are the people funding them. I have no clue, literally no clue what they're saying, says Cabinet Guy. You're right. Another Bob LTS. I didn't make it to the protest this weekend. I worked 3 days and got 38 hours of no tax on OT. Thank you, President Trump. Well, there's the first thing. You worked. None of those people have real jobs. None of them have real jobs. They either get paid to run around and do protests, or they're dumb enough not to know the actual issues and what underlies them. It's a scary thing. This kind of idiocy, it's frightening. I'm telling you, I'm scared for these people. Hey, this hour brought to you by our friend Tina Morocco. She's a global sales advisor at Sotheby's International Realty in Naples, Florida. You can look her up there or go right to the source, which is tinamorocco.com, MURACCO. You got to, if you're thinking about Florida, which you always should be, the free state of Florida, you should think Tina Morocco, because you got to have someone you can trust on what will be, no matter who you are, a major investment. She's your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. Somebody said, we paid $7 million for Alaska, and in California, the Capital Annex project, which includes new office space for the governor, is estimated to cost at least $1.1 billion. Tom from Dallas. Tom, you're on fire today. I saw about that, and I said, you know, I pray I'm not proven to be wrong, but when you see this many dummies amongst us running down No Kings protest, when you see this many stupid people, then although I dismiss Gavin Newsom, he's phony, he's fake, he's a liar, he's actually just completely ridiculous, and he's done a horrible job as governor. So you say, well, all right, I don't worry about him as a potential president for the Democrat Party. In fact, I mean, enough of the country would see through that fool. So I don't see him going anywhere. But somebody says Scranton's No King's Day looked more like they opened up the nursing homes and let out all the sourpuss old ladies. Well, that's not nice. From Rich McHale, morning, Bob. I wanted to make myself safe from the potential of having a king. I'm not a fan of Trump, but I know his policies haven't hurt this country. People have to realize this war isn't actually a war. It's actually a preservation of world peace. Exactly. Exactly, Rich. It's so true. Look at them spray painting buildings, these idiots. That guy should have his hands broken. They really should. He or she is printing "Kill your local ICE agent." This is who these people are. This is who they are proud to associate with. That's your No Kings fools. and they truly are fools. You could ask them any number of questions about what they're doing and why. None of them will have a coherent or even correct answer because they don't know what they're doing. Scary, scary people. Well, thank God we survived another No Kings protest. That's just, oh, Lord. Bill O'Reilly says, dissent is in a free society is positive. You don't like Trump, fine. I didn't like Biden, but I was respectful to the office he held and acknowledging the votes he received. Well, I don't acknowledge the votes because remember this, 24 points, 24% of the mail-in ballots from from 2020 to 2024, they vanished. Where did they go? There was no reduction in in-person voting. 24% of the mail-in ballots from 2020 to 2024 simply vanished. I want you to think about that. If that doesn't prove there was massive cheating going on. Wow. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, we've got to take our break because we've got a Veterans Tribute coming up. It's a Monday. We're excited to be here. And by the way, do not forget, for those of you who observe, it is Holy Week this week. Really, probably what should be the most deeply religious week of the year. We'll take a break and be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And on Mondays, we salute his first company, his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems, the premier roofing contractor for institutional commercial projects throughout the eastern United States, hence Eastern Roofing Systems. But guess what? They'll take all that expertise, all that buying power, and bring it to you within the sound of my voice in Northeast Pennsylvania. Eastern Roofing Systems, Jessup, PA. Joseph Anticoli. We lost him March 21st. He was born in Sayre on December 2nd, 1920. His obit says that's right. He lived to be 105 years old. Graduate of the great Scranton Technical High School. Joe was an Army veteran serving during World War II. Honorably discharged in 1944. He then worked at Woodlawn Dairy, remember that? In Scranton for 40 years before retiring. He was a member of the great Teamsters Local 229 and the American Legion. As a sergeant in the Army, Joe served 30 months overseas in the 406th Army Field Support Brigade and the 367th Engineer Battalion, a combat battalion. He was attached to General Patton's 7th Army. The unit specialized in combat engineering tasks like bridge construction. He served all of us during World War II in North Africa, Sicily, Corsica, France, Germany. Awarded the African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 5 battle stars, as well as other awards. Preceded in death by his brother, Sergeant Art Frank, a Pearl Harbor survivor, his sister, and his brother, Donald. Surviving, his wife of 74 years, unbelievable, Yolanda Anticoli, also his daughter, sons, and 2 grandchildren, and other family members. 105-year-old Joseph Anticoli. Man, we were lucky to have him with us for more than a century. Our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by our great friends at Montage Mountain Resort. Today, it's a good weather report. Some sun, then turning cloudy. An afternoon shower cannot be ruled out, they tell us. High 68. Tonight, mostly cloudy showers around low 55. Tomorrow, breezy in the morning with a passing shower, cloudy and very warm. High 77, the low 59 for Tuesday. Wednesday, mainly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High 68, low 44. Thursday, considerable cloudiness and cooler with a shower in places. High 56, low 48. Friday, cloudy with a couple of showers. High 60, low 54. So a beautiful week, weather-wise. A nice warm week. We'll be walking Chauncey all over the place. Thank God we're on the sidewalks instead of the streets up in the hill section, or one of us would break an ankle. But that's your weather, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts. Right now on Montage, 49 degrees. Skeeter Davis. How about that? I did know this song. From 1963, this date, she moved up to number 3. Well, he moved up. I apologize. With his hit, End of the World. Is that a... Wow. Whatever. Back in 63, we didn't do those things, but I guess Skeeter's a man. Yeah, okay. March 30th, Mother Teresa. She says the most important part is that we keep the work as his work and that we do not spoil it with any claims. St. Teresa for March 30th. Can't believe it's almost April. I cannot believe it. Time is flying far too quickly, isn't it? Really. The African nation, this got sent to us. Somaliland tells the U.S., say the word on extraditing Ilhan Omar after the Vance fraud claim. Fascinating. They want her back to punish her. Well, she's a complete jackass. She's a bad person. She's a truly awful, awful person. Ilhan Omar, oh my God. Those squad members, the level of their stupidity, it's epic. It really is. Somebody says, Bob, the No Kings rallies are a joke and all smoke and mirrors. Zoomed in on the crowd. Actor Robert De Niro was addressing the anti-American crowd, saying, we must stop Trump and save America. The liberal media refused to show the crowd, which was filled with hammer and sickle flags, Palestinian flags, anti-Israeli banners, Iranian flags, a bunch of road warrior-looking misfits. Only thing that was missing was actor Mel Gibson and a few cans of Alpo dog food. Yeah. Unbelievable. Somebody says, why can't Trump follow the law? Please tell me what law he's not following. Seriously. You can't be this stupid. You've fallen for all of this. One of our great listeners has fallen for this stupidity. The American people aren't happy about what's going on right now, and his ratings are lower than ever. All these places win the midterms. Don't get me started on health care. LOL. I'm glad you are the right side of the left side, but what is happening to our wallets is no joke. Well, did you complain when Joe Biden intentionally, not to save the country, not to save the world, not to eliminate the threat to peace in the world, Iran, did you care that he intentionally jacked up prices on everything? Did you care? The hell's the matter with you people? Seriously. There's something wrong. I mean it. Look in the mirror. Slap yourself in the face a few times and see if you wake up from this woke funk that you're in. Please. Tenor Jim from Wilkes-Barre says, Bob, I wonder if anyone asked the demonstrators this question. What about Christ the King, the eternal King? LTS. Back at you, Tenor Jim. It's amazing to hear these stories of our veterans, and now we have these Dems that want to destroy what these great veterans fought for. Disgraceful, says Cabinet Guy. Yes, it is. And again, if they had a point, like, okay, Vietnam, civil rights protests in the day, not now. There was something to protest. You could disagree with them or not. But they actually had something to protest. These idiots are making it up, and it's being made up by billionaires who claim they're going after. Bernie Sanders flies first class and private jet to complain about millionaires and billionaires. I mean, it's just, you can't make up the hypocrisy of it all. frightening. All right, we've got to take our break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors, but we will come back. I'm telling you I will. The Beatles with Ringo doing the vocals, lead vocals. Murph says this date, 1967, they were finishing recording their hit with a little help from my friends, adding guitars, tambourine, and vocals. Oh, and Murph texted me. Skeeter Davis is, in fact, a woman. So everything makes sense once again. My man Bob C. sends me a text. This woman, protester dresses as a chicken to criticize Trump at a No Kings rally. America's chickens are coming home to roost. And then Bob nails it. He sent me this last week, and I saved it. Liberals hate all kinds of kings: working, thinking, fact-checking, and making sense. It's true. Oh, my word. It's something else. It's really crazy. So Skeeter Davis, who sings The End of the World, was a woman. And now things seem like they were straightened out. Somebody texted in, Bob, now it's a long text, so I'm going to try to get it in order here. Bob, I have no means stupid, but I can't debate with you on a short-term radio content. Nobody in the right mind would name a street after Biden before a president was dead. Yes, I know what Biden did, and it didn't help, but let's go back even further. This was not just a last president screwing up this country. Oh, this has been going on for decades. What? I don't know quite what you're saying. Nobody was worse than Joe Biden. And I'm saying he's at Jimmy Carter. He and his administration were the worst of Jimmy Carter incompetence with LBJ level malevolence. That's who they were. They used the Justice Department as their own personal ideological stormtroopers. That's what they did. By the way, somebody pointing this out. I mean, it's quite amazing and eye-opening. One of the things you'll hear the Democrats say, they don't want ICE at polling places. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Why? Because you obviously intend for illegals to vote. Why would you mention polling places? And thank you to the listener for bringing it to my to front and center. He said, it's so obvious the Democrats never even mentioned the hardworking men and women of this country. It's all about ICE. The Democrats don't want ICE at the polls because they won't be able to cheat in the midterms. It's common sense. ICE, the number one issue they wanted to fund so they can cheat in the next election. Yeah. It's insanity. And they say it out loud. Joe from Trips Park says, we're eradicating Iran's military, resulting in the closure of the biggest oil port in the world, yet somehow gas is over $1 cheaper than peak Biden prices. What was their excuse again? I know. Remember all the lies they told? Oh, this is Putin's gas hike. Oh, no, then this is the greedy oil companies. Oh, no, then this is the greedy gas station owners. Yeah. They went from lie to lie to lie. And I've got to tell you, if you've fallen for it, there's something wrong there. You're not thinking clearly, or you're not thinking at all. You really aren't. And now they're actually protesting. No Kings protest. And they don't, I don't know. I don't get it. All right, I'm out there. Now, please tell me what Trump has done. Like when you ask them that question, what has he done that would be king-like? Well, tell me. Oh, like saying, like Joe Biden did, my patience is running thin for people who didn't want to take the shot. Like that, you mean? Like sending the Justice Department after parents who are unhappy with the transgender agenda in their kids' schools? Like that? Like arresting as if they were terrorists, pro-life protesters? Which part of No Kings am I missing? Like prosecuting your main political opponent. Do you mean like that? Always remember, whatever they accuse you of, if you're normal, it's exactly what they are doing. It's unbelievable. So again, I won't have it after today, but I just want to mention one more time. Here's a good mayor, okay? Mayor Brown in Wilkes-Barre. He puts out an ad and says, look, if there's pothole problems, here's how you get in touch with us. If it's a state road, here's how you get in touch with PennDOT. In the city of Scranton, they just let the roads fall apart. Our awful mayor. Absolutely horrendous mayor. I don't even know what you say about her. And she wants to be a congressperson and spread all her left-wing lunacy? Girls and boys' locker rooms? Yeah, she's going to run from all the issues that she's actually going to do. One of her main accomplishments as mayor of Scranton, Cognetti, is taking the urinals out of the building. That's what she's done. You imagine this? Hey, let's finish the hour with Charles from Scott Township. Charles, how are you? We only got a few seconds, but fire away.
Okay, a quick one. I didn't see Trump stand there with that red background like Biden did with two Marines standing behind him and coming down really hard on American citizens like he did with the MAGA Republicans. That, to me, was somebody who was acting like an emperor or a king, you know?
Well, I mean, he was the emperor without clothes. and without a brain. They just wound him up and sent him somewhere and said, oh, now, Mr. President, you've got to get angry at this. Okay. And then he would get angry.
Yeah, and you know, and all the other things he did, the way he labeled, he called, I believe that time he called anybody who voted for Trump, MAGA Republicans, he called them garbage.
Yep. But here's the other, and Charles, again, none of these people will tell you what Trump has actually done that would appear to be king-like. Nobody.
Exactly. And once again, they're crying about the price of things, like you mentioned before. The price of gas, it's way up now, and the price of fuel oil and everything's way up, but it's still lower than it was when Biden was in office.
Yep, and that was done without any rationale other than saving the planet from global warming, which they don't even talk about anymore. You won't hear anything about it. It's amazing.
You're absolutely right. You're right, Bob. You're absolutely right. But anyways, these people, I can't stand Robert De Niro. Here's a guy worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Bruce Springsteen and Jane Fonda are millionaires. They can live any life they want, and yet they're so miserable.
Yeah. Well, they realize they got lucky, and they don't want to be exposed. Hey, I got lucky. But Springsteen flies a private jet. He cares about the environment. He flies a private jet to the No Kings rally. You can't make up what phonies they are. Can't make it up.
No, the hypocrisy is incredible. But, Bob, anyways, you have a good day. Thanks for taking my call.
Pleasure. Thank you. Hey, my Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:02, which means it's past time for Mark Nashko and the news. We're going to hear from him. Then we'll be back because it's Monday. That means it's time for Monday Musings. Great good morning, everyone. 10:09 a.m. here in the great Northeast. That's what it says on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. On a beautiful Monday, March 30th, 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great Eastern Roofing Systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John. Like 105-year-old Joseph Anticoli of Scranton, William Bill Checho of Scranton, and Joseph Mastelar of Benton. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense is so ironclad, so foolproof, that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of the morning in a world where dozens of people throughout the area got together to protest over things they either don't care about or they don't know about. One or the other. No king's protest. Holy cow. Hey, when Robert De Niro is your gold standard speaker, and I listened to his speech, I forced myself to do it because I was going to play some of it. It was so stupid and incoherent, I said, we can't subject the listeners to this. Somebody says the first time in history of the Democrat Party it hates a federal government agency. That agency is called ICE. The party of bigger bureaucracy and government institutions looks at ICE as a threat to their voter and power base to stay in power. This is the real reason the Democrat Party hates ICE. Oh, it's pure insanity. It truly is. Hey, and just a reminder, Tina Morocco is one of our hourly sponsors. She is a global sales advisor at Sotheby's International in Naples, Florida. You could reach her through Sotheby's International in Naples or TinaMorocco.com, MURACCO. Get to her directly because she's your trusted source for Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. And we'll be hearing from her a couple times this week. But it's Monday, and we know what Monday means. It means it's time for Monday Musings, and here's our man, John Perillo. How are you, John?
I'm good to be here, and thank you for having Tina as a sponsor. I really need to reach out to her. So
yes, we all do.
Crazy.
We all do.
Right.
Well, you survived Uncle Frank's birthday. My Uncle Frank Zavico was, by the way, Air Force veteran from Troop, and 95. He was 95 last week.
Yes, absolutely. It was a great celebration, and this was a different kind of week, right? So I wanted to talk about me this week. You know, my Jewish friends are getting ready to enter the week of Passover, and for my Christian friends, we enter Holy Week. And while this isn't really a religious musing, I wanted to take a break from all the news, that's screaming at us and go back to a little bit of human philosophy, if that's okay. And I appreciate Bob letting me do that because I've mentioned a guy named Rod Dreher as somebody I occasionally read, and he pointed me towards a 1976 essay by Thomas Wolfe, who is a great American author, and the essay is titled The Me Decade. Very funny article, by the way, but in it, Mr. Wolfe said that the new dream was, quote, changing one's personality, remaking, remodeling, elevating, and polishing one's very self, end quote. I thought that sounds like us today, marketing ourselves, online especially. And again, 1976 when he wrote this essay. And while you've likely heard the phrase, the me generation, it was Thomas Wolfe's essay that coined the phrase. And in the past, we've discussed the rise of both fascism and communism from the Orwell point of view. And in keeping with that theme, the historian Hannah Arendt said that one of the key factors in those totalitarian movements included a kind of, quote, social atomization, end quote. The breaking apart of those same things that used to hold pre-war Germans and Russians together, and that same atomization of society is something that we're also discussing in our segments on the Tower of Babel and social media. And it was the destruction of meaning, of the things that kept society together, like strong, trusted institutions in both religion and state, as well as common stories that caused the Germans in particular to grasp for structure. And again, the purpose of having these musings is to take a look at these historical events and to think about our modern situations with them as background. Now, as we know, the Germans were getting their butts kicked in the 1920s. After World War I, the victors wanted to make sure that a militant Germany never rose again. So they imposed these very harsh rules, which created bad inflation. The country had been physically decimated by the war, and all the traditional things that had kept the German society together were failing. Their society was atomizing. And in Wolf's essay, Thomas Wolf's essay, he says that the U.S. was atomizing as well. But unlike the Germans, the U.S. was atomizing because of wealth and comfort. And you'll hear that expressed today as first world problems, right? I mean, if you're poor and hungry, you aren't worried about how your hair looks or if your clothes are fashionable or who gets to play who in sports. It takes wealth to enable us to worry about trivia. And here's some excerpts from Thomas Wolfe. Again, this is written in 1976, which, oh, by the way, is now 50 years ago. And he says, quote, "There is no ecumenical spirit in this third great awakening. If anything, there's a spirit of schism, right? The contempt of various seers have for one another is breathtaking. Whatever the third great awakening amounts to, for better or worse, will have to do with this unprecedented post-World War II American development, the luxury enjoyed by so many millions of middling folk of dwelling upon the self. But, in fact, the notion of, if I have only one life, challenges one of those assumptions of society that are so deeply rooted and ancient they have no name. They are simply lived by. In this case, man's age-old belief in serial immortality," end quote. And then Wolf goes on to list some of the things from our past common understanding of our, quote, serial immortality. Things like parents who sacrifice for the better future of their children or even having children in the first place. The military veterans that Bob celebrates every day, some of whom who sacrifice their lives for their country. Those things only make sense in a society that doesn't see its individuals as the highest good that there is. I mean, why have kids when you can buy a pretty nice Porsche for what raising one kid today costs? Well, you do that because either consciously or more likely unconsciously, you know that you do not only have one life to live. Your life touches many others. It's part of a stream, a river, an amazing mystical saga that started with the ancients and will continue until the Messiah comes a second time. But as we chip away with religion, right, how we see that saga changes as well. It has to. And Thomas Wolfe goes on to quote Tocqueville, who is a French writer writing about the American experience that he saw when touring the very young nation. And Tocqueville said, quote, "Not only does democracy make each man forget his ancestors, it hides his descendants from him and divides him from his contemporaries. It continually turns him back into himself and threatens at last to enclose him entirely in the solitude of his own heart," end quote. Now, Tocqueville said a lot of very complimentary things about our young nation, but here he's channeling a bit of the Greeks, that none of the governmental systems were perfect. They all had their faults, and that capitalism and democracy elevated the individual, which is certainly better than any of the other systems out there. But again, because it's Holy Week, our entire belief system is based on the Hebrew concept that every individual is created in the image of the Creator himself. But because individuals are flawed, wealth, comfort, and even democracy tend to actually alienate us from each other and our Creator. The Beatitudes from the New Testament, blessed are the poor, you might have heard that one, derives directly from that thought, right? The idea is that possessions of any kind tend to make us self-sufficient. And it's that feeling that causes us to separate from our neighbors and to not even see them. In the words of Thomas Wolfe, let's talk about me, right? And Wolfe mentions one of my favorite movies. It's a 1939 silent film by Charlie Chaplin called Modern Times. And please, please, please get on YouTube and watch it. It's short and it's brilliant. Modern Times. Chaplin's character is a helpless industrial slave in a factory. And we think about all the improvements that industrialization has brought to us, and it certainly has brought a lot of them. But Charlie Chaplin also captures brilliantly and with a lot of humor man's sense of, quote, bewilderment. That's Thomas Wolfe's word, that the modern world has created. And the film is modern is a relative term, but it's still very impactful. And it was that feeling of being disjointed that Wolfe reminds us was the reason that the Soviets offered to become the, quote, engineers of the soul. Think about that for a second. The communists saw that capitalism had created this kind of disjointed bewilderment in the world, and they, the smart people, were going to become the engineers of our own souls. If you think people were bewildered in the 1930s when Charlie Chaplin was making his masterpieces, just wait as we keep making religion less relevant and AI begins to displace thousands because it can, quote, think for them. What Wolfe observed is that the creation of the middle class, which also resulted from industrialism, enabled people to dote upon themselves, something that only the rich and people, the rich people could have done in the past. It's what I want. I get to do what I need. What do people think about me? Well, to be honest, people don't really think about you. They're too busy thinking about themselves. And again, that essay is 50 years old. But what Wolfe was saying about the fracturing of society back then could easily be said about society today. The idea that we know we are disjointed and we want to belong somewhere, anywhere, and it's that anywhere that can be quite terrifying. And Dreyer points to a Jimmy Carter, the Malaise speech of 1979, which, if you really think about it, was quite a conservative speech. President Carter said, quote, "We are at a turning point in our history. There are two paths to choose. One is the path I have warned about tonight, the path that leads to fragmentation and self-interest. And down that road lies a mistaken idea of freedom, the right to grasp for ourselves some advantage over others." And he goes on to argue for the restoration of American values, right? Now, that speech tanked, but again, in my mind, it was actually pretty conservative. Reagan comes along.
By the way, he never used the word malaise in the speech.
No, he never uses the word malaise, and I'm glad you mentioned that in the last hour, right? Because Reagan comes along and unleashes a kind of libertarian free market and, dare I say, a globalized look at the world. And, of course, it worked, right? Prosperity soared. And President Clinton followed, and he continued the Reagan model of globalization, which clearly worked in the macro sense. But we can't deny that all that globalization managed to really hurt some people, too. And what all that upheaval caused was this atomization, back to Thomas Wolfe's word, of society. Look, I've worked hard, I've saved, I've invested, mostly because I was taught to do that by my family, but also because I could. The worker who doesn't have a bunch of savings, who lives paycheck to paycheck, that person's view is very different, than that of the corporate office, right? He's separated from the corporate office economically, of course, but increasingly now from a societal point of view as well. And there was certainly a great deal of good that came from all that. Please don't misunderstand me. But the, quote, me culture helped create atomization. It's all about me. If all we are is a bunch of individuals out to get as much enjoyment out of life as possible, then the other guy be damned. What about me? And with the destruction of religion, and then even belief becomes what I want it to be. If I'm fully autonomous, then I get to decide what God is and what good and evil are. It's my truth, because there is no capital T truth. The death of organized religion, that we've seen, is part of that. And of course, because you know me, the Hebrews already addressed this in the biblical story of the Garden of Eden and the tree of knowledge. If you don't know the story, God creates for mankind a beautiful garden with everything they need. And that society is very permissive. They can do anything they want. The only thing that humans cannot do is eat from the tree of life, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And the serpent tempts Eve to eat from the tree in part by saying, if they eat the apple, they will be like gods with a knowledge of good and evil. But the reason God doesn't want them eating from the tree is not because they will gain God's understanding of good and evil, but rather because they will want to determine what is good and evil for themselves. Take a second to digest that, right? Listeners, that's where we are today, this Monday. We want to say that we know what's best, that 6,000 years of wisdom are worthless and that religion is dead. It's all about me. We know what's good and evil. And this week especially, maybe we can consider the fact that we are, in fact, immortal. Not just our souls, which is true, of course, but our decisions and how they affect others and that ongoing, mysterious, wonderful saga that is human life on Earth that we're only just a tiny part of.
There we go. Neat. Well, thank you for that. It's a good Easter week message. It's a good Easter week message to cogitate, and I appreciate it, John Perillo.
Enjoy cogitating. Thank you for loaning me your audience again, Bob. You know that. I love you guys. Have a great week. Have a great Easter week, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Happy Easter, my friend.
You take care.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. The Yardbirds. Murph says this date, 1968, they performed and recorded their concert for the album Yardbirds Live at Anderson Theater, New York City. Train Kept a Rollin' is the song Murph chose. Bob Cordaro back with you. Hey, Bob, LTS, did you see in New York City they were waving communist flags at the No Kings rally? So no kings, but dictators are cool. Kevin from Sawyersville, you nailed it. These people are sick and stupid. We love them because they're part of our country and human and all of that. But that does not prevent us from calling it what it is. Rank hypocrisy and complete stupidity. Somebody texted in, I'm not sure what that means necessarily, but now that World War III is currently happening, you won't have to go back 80 years for a war story. I don't get your point, to be frank with you. Unfortunately, conflict with evil never ends. I mean, did anyone think it was going to end? And by the way, this doesn't involve China, which is the most dangerous source of evil. But the fact is that Iran was the most imminent source of danger because they don't have anything to lose in their minds. And their leadership had to be wiped out. And we've got to kill even more. It's sad, but it's true. There is a huge undercurrent of evil in Iran, which was of imminent danger to the world economy and the Middle East. And Trump's doing what had to be done because it wouldn't be done later. And maybe even couldn't be done later. Certainly not without much loss of life on our side. Thank God he did it. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. And then we're going to do a Veterans Tribute, the weather, and you at 570-883-0098. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day, as with every day, brought to you by our friend, John Basiliga, a true supporter of our veterans. And today, as with every Monday, we feature his first company, his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems. The premier roofing contractor for commercial, institutional, and industrial work throughout the eastern United States. And they bring that expertise home to you for your home, your small building, or your big project here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Eastern Roofing Systems, headquartered in Jessup, but serving all of the eastern United States. Bill Checho. We lost him March 19th at the age of 78. Bill and his beloved wife, Pamela Reardon Checho, had celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary this past November. Born in Scranton, graduate of the great West Scranton High School, class of 65. He proudly served this country in the United States Army as a communications specialist in Vietnam, a role he held with quiet strength and honor. Known for his strong work ethic, Bill dedicated many years as a superintendent at Supermarket Services. He found joy in life's simple pleasures: yard work, gardening, trips to the casino, fishing. His greatest happiness, though, came from being surrounded by his family, who will remember him for his steady presence, warm heart, and unwavering love. In addition to his devoted wife, he's survived by his 3 daughters, his son, and he was a proud papi to his adoring 7 grandchildren. The family said is especially poignant that his brother Joseph was called home in the early morning hours of the very same day we lost Bill. William Bill Checho, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Well, this is an updated AccuWeather forecast for the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton region. Today, some sun, then turning cloudy with a shower in places this afternoon, high of 68. Tonight, mostly cloudy, showers around. It'll be about 55. Tomorrow, breezy in the morning with a passing shower, cloudy and very warm. How about that? That's tomorrow, 77 degrees, low 59. Wednesday, mainly cloudy with a couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 68, low 44. Thursday, considerable cloudiness and cooler with a shower in places, 56 degrees, a low of 48. Friday, Good Friday, cloudy with a couple of showers, 62 degrees, the high, 54, the low. 54 degrees as I speak on Montage Mountain, because they're the ones who bring you this great weather forecast. Montage Mountain Resort, the place for year-round fun. They're swinging into spring. Check out what they're up to now. We'll take a break for this and be back. Ah, love it. Murph says this date, 1970. Chicago released their hit, Make Me Smile. Bob Cordaro back with you. Slick texts in, Bob LTS. How about Kimmel degrading a plumber But he said nothing when we had a confused man in charge of our health and a cross-dresser in charge of nuclear waste. What a joke. Jimmy Kimmel's just an idiot. They all are. They seriously are. I'm watching as I speak to you. Communist revolution is the chant that rose at the New York City No Kings protest, which De Niro participated in. They're walking around with communist flags. Well, what could possibly go wrong? Oh, only another 100 million killed? Are you in? This is the problem. These people are so stupid you can't make it up. Communism, worldwide communism. This is just, it's just, again, it's just so stupid you can't even, well, how do I have a conversation with you if you're that dumb? I literally, there's no idea. How do we have a conversation? I'm at a No Kings protest. I don't know what Trump has done as a king. I mean, the Democrats just shut the government down. They shut DHS down. Screwed up everybody's flying ventures. They're not paying government workers who are forced to work. And somehow Trump's a king. And Slick, you nailed it. Nobody cared when Rachel Levine was in charge of the health department. And then that insane cross-dresser suitcase stealer in charge of nuclear waste. My word. They don't even get it. So talk about cherry pie. There's no point. You're not going to make any sense with these people. They're incapable of absorbing it. I saw a video of a woman, an Iranian, who had been forced out of Iran, her family had, back in 79. And she's telling this woman protesting for Iran, the Iranian regime. You don't even know. She said, you know who you're protesting for. Genocidal maniacs who would kill you, Miss Whitebread, in 2 minutes if they could. And the woman just stunned look on her face. First time confronted the truth. But I don't think she got it. I really don't. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. I never understood what the necessity of the Ooga Chaka was. Did you? It's a cute song. But Murph tells us Blue Suede, this date 1974, moved up to number 2 with their hit Hooked on a Feeling. Bob Cordaro back with all y'all on the eponymous program. Somebody texts in, Bob LTS, I was protesting in Wilkes-Barre Saturday. My sign read, no kings, just Wilkes University. Good. Somebody else, Bob, it's Holy Week. Try to stay calm. I am. I'm calm. And then cabinet guy texts in, Bob, the Iranians have lowered the age of 12 to join the army. And I'm sure it's voluntary, too, just like Hitler did. This is insane, and yet they call Trump Hitler. Look it. We really cannot give any sense. To take the Democrat elected official other than Fetterman. I'm happy to say that because as bad of a senator as he is, at least he makes some sense. They're insane. They're ill. They truly are. Hey, let's go to our man Paul from Scranton. How are you, Paul?
Hey, good to talk to you, Bob. Keep up the good work.
Great to hear from you, my brother.
Yeah, a long time no talk to. I missed the first part, but I caught the part about Mullen, and I was just thinking that the people don't hear the whole story. Now, the comedian mentioned that he was a plumber. Well, this guy started out as a plumber. He got 2 degrees. He became the biggest plumber in the whole state of that he's in. And then he ended up founding 4 or 5 companies. And he's a very wealthy guy, but he's a brilliant man. But see, the comedian doesn't mention that. And the poor people watching his show only hear him saying, "Oh, he's a plumber. What's he going to do?" You know.
Well, and by the way, a plumber knows how to do things. They actually fix things. They actually save problems. They know how things work. To me, when you called him, when he called him a plumber, I'm like, well, that's a hell of a compliment. That's my exact response to Jimmy Kimmel. That was my response.
Jesus. Well, I think the average person don't feel like you do because you're more intelligent than they are, Bob. You know?
No, I think the average person understands how important plumbers are.
I know they know and they understand how important plumbers are, but to reach a high degree in our government and to run a department like that, you got to be smart. And the guy is smart. He's brilliant. I think he has a degree, and I forget what it was in, but he has a couple degrees. But I just felt bad that Kimmel had to shoot his mouth off, and the people don't understand. That are listening to him, that's it. They hear one thing and they walk away and they think, oh, here's a guy, you hired a plumber up there to do this big job, you know?
Well, you know, but Paul, they say this. They say that, you know, there's an ass for every seat, okay? Well, you got this No Kings rally on Saturday, and had to be, it wasn't huge. It was, you know, a couple dozen people. It has to be a gathering of some of the dumbest people on the planet. And then you go to New York City's version, they're running around with communist signs like, okay, what could possibly go wrong with communism? I mean, it's insanity.
Yeah, but I don't think they're as dumb as you think, Bob. I think they're out there making money. I think a lot of them are being supported by these subversive groups, and they go out there and get a day's pay or have a good time and get
I hope so,
and
Paul.
get hopped
I'm actually hoping that for their sake. I can't believe you'd be dumb enough to just show up because you actually believe what they're saying.
Yeah. And I can't believe that the media doesn't stop and ask them and say, what's your objections here? What is a king? What's going on that a king does and that you don't like? You know what I mean? They don't interview these people because they can't talk intelligently about it.
I want to know, even from many of our listeners, and we've got people who actually believe this nonsense. Tell me what Trump has done that's king-like. I'd love to know.
I don't think anybody can tell you. I don't
No,
think
they
anybody
can't.
can tell you.
They really can't. It's crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
The guy's pretty sharp when he's digging in the laws and find out that he could pay the TSA people, and even though it's for 30 days or 60 days, whatever it is, but they have his people research it and come up with that idea so that we can help these people that are traveling. I mean, how can you call that a king? You call that a guy
I know.
that's doing a good job.
Well, I said, Paul, he's in the middle of a shutdown of government by the Democrat Party. Well, a king wouldn't have that happen. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
And they don't know why it's shutting it down. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Did you see one of the things on their demands was
No.
that the ICE could wear cameras, but they can't use it to photograph the people that are acting against them. They can only use it for their self-protection. Now, does that make sense? And they're the ones who wanted ICE to wear the cameras to begin with.
Yeah. Well, listen, we know this about the loony left. They won't take yes for an answer.
Exactly.
Well,
I
Paul,
just hope they can't go home and have a nice Easter when everybody else is suffering.
Could they please enjoy themselves? Yeah. Just get off. I say to them, Paul, I said, if you were at the No Kings rally, you've got to go, and you intended to be there, not just as an observer, and you've got to go to your mirror and start slapping yourself in the face really hard until you wake up from your woke funk. You have to.
Exactly. Good analogy.
Well, Paul, great to hear your voice,
Hey,
my
great
friend.
to hear from you. You take care of yourself and keep up the good work, buddy.
You know it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. We're going to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We've got some sponsors we want to hear from. And we've got the Bloomberg Money Minute in the middle of all that. And then we'll be back. USA for Africa, Murph says, this date, 1985, they moved from 21 to number 5 with their hit, We Are the World. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program as we head toward the top of the hour. Somebody said, texted in, No Kings Rally should be renamed No Agenda Rally for the Democrat Party. Open borders, new Green Deal, transgender ideology, high taxation, hyperinflation, defund police and all law enforcement. The Democrat Party, the party of stupidity. Well, they don't have a lock on it. But at least it's not, if you're Republican, at least it's not the leadership and the policies. Well, it is some of the leadership. Look at the U.S. Senate. They will not get rid of the filibuster. It's a disgrace. Miranda Devine, the New York Post, a great New York Post writer, she has an opinion column, the cowards in the Republican Party in the U.S. Senate. Running. Quite amazing. Like, so you've got these people, for sake of some tradition, the filibuster. They know the Democrats will get rid of the filibuster. They know it. For any kind of lunacy possible. They know who voted for it the last time. They were in control. Come on. You could have opened the government if you had a 50+1 threshold. It's unbelievable. So, the weakness of the Republicans, particularly in the United States Senate, not facing fact, truth, and reality, it's unreal. And you can't get anything done with Chuck Schumer and his clown show. You can't. You already know it. And you're going to lose the Senate because of it. And the lunatics will take over. Scary. Anyway, Mark the Shark from Hazelton says, Self-Awareness Day, March 30th. Well, if you're a dummycrat, you will not observe this holiday. You just won't, because you have no self-awareness. If you're at the No Kings rally and you were into it, you've got no self-awareness. Crazy. Let's take a break and be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:08 and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, March 30, 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Eastern roofing systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John, like Bill Checho of Scranton, 105-year-old Joseph Anticoli, Scranton, and Joseph Mastelar, Benton. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, where we promise you that our commitment to common sense is so ironclad, so foolproof, that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of this morning. Biden banner disgrace, stolen valor, day 105. The Green Ridge Neighborhood Association, and we ask you to get in touch with them through their Facebook page. Find out who the officers are and say, come on, man. They erected a Biden hometown hero banner. He did not serve in the military, which is what the hometown hero banners are for. They know they are wrong, and they will not take it down. Biden banner disgrace, stolen valor, day 105, the disgrace of the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association. So here's Bernie Sanders, another old fool hypocrite. Flies around in private jets and travels first class. He's a multimillionaire with at least 3 houses. And he's telling us how he's for the little. It's insane. And he says, I will be forcing a vote in the Senate on legislation to block the sale of nearly $1 billion in weapons to the Israeli military for bombs and bulldozers. Now, he then goes on to say this. This is how stupid he is. He's a real knucklehead. The government that has committed genocide in Gaza does not need more military support from the American taxpayers. Well, listen, stupid. You just said it. It's $1 billion in weapons sale. He doesn't even know what the words mean. Had no clue. As I say, I think I'd get a kick out of him personally. But he's so stupid. He doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. And this is in David Harris on Instagram. He said, well, let's continue sending money to Ukraine, money to combat climate change, and building up Somalian layering centers. He's just a stupid, stupid man. Like the rest of them walking around with communist flags. Wait a minute. We already played that song. It cost 100 million people their lives. It destroyed economies, cultures, and you want more of it. Somebody takes in Republican weakness is one thing I'm afraid of when Trump is done. Say what you want about Trump, but he had the balls to get the job done. I have no faith in most Republicans to keep it up, says Tom from Dallas. I know it. Without someone that they fear, like Trump, as the head of the party, I mean, he'll still be able to voice what he wants to do. He'll still be able to do rallies and all that kind of thing, which we hope he will continue. But you're right. We have to worry about, look, they can't even get rid of the filibuster so that they can get their legislative priorities through. And there's no way, again, you'd have to be a rockhead to think that Democrats in control of the U.S. Senate would not get rid of that filibuster day one. Yeah. Somebody was on complete unawareness of reality. Ridiculous op-ed in yesterday's awful Scranton Times. The writer bemoans the fact that King Trump is making immigrant truck drivers read English, seemingly completely oblivious to the fact that there's been numerous truck accidents throughout the country, causing deaths with illegal aliens that can't read the road sign. I'm telling you, like, to expect any sense out of these lefties, you can't. You can't make sense with them. There's literally nothing. There's nothing rattling around in those brains. There is nothing. And you just look at it and you say, this kind of breathtaking stupidity. Protesting to bring back communism to the United States. Really? That's what you're thinking. By the way, I'm watching, I have Fox News on the monitor here in the studio, and Rob Bresnahan's running commercials. I saw a billboard for him today, and we've been begging. I said this summer, I said the attacks on you will be relentless, Congressman. You've got to fight back, and he is. They're running ads. They're pointing out what he's done. I mentioned in the previous hour, and maybe even in the first hour, Selena Zito's great article on how Rob Bresnahan, unions get it. If they're working, they understand immediately that things are going in the right direction. If they're not working, they realize who would be responsible. And that would be a left-wing lunatic like Paige Cognetti, who would be voting blindly, stupidly, idiotically with the lunatic left, the squad, the whole package. She's a squad member in hiding. She's trying to cover up what she is, what she believes. And that's why I film my street, to show what an utter incompetence she is. Crazy. It really is. Now, our Pope weighing in on his Palm Sunday message, Pope Leo XIV. He said, Jesus did not listen to the prayers of those who wage war, but rejects them. David Harris says, well, what about King David? Now he's a lefty. There's nothing you can do about it. He's a lefty. And see, there should have been balance in the statement. He should have said, and that includes people who kill 35,000 of their own citizens. And who oppress 90 million of their countrymen. Done. That's fine. Just give me the balance. Don't give me the bullspit, Pope. Don't give me the bullspit. This is all you're giving. And he doesn't say anything about the genocide of Christians going on. He doesn't say anything about it. Strangely silent. So I'm again, another disappointment. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, you got to have balance. You got to have a sense of reality. What is your reality, Pope? Pope Francis had none. Literally none. I hope for more from Pope Leo. I hoped for more. We're not getting it yet. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. We have to end the assaults against immigrants. He doesn't care that more people died in Chicago this month from criminals that he's let loose than in our entire side, the American and Israeli side of this Iranian incursion. That's just so straight out stupid and blind, you can't make it up. Wow. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. This date, 2001, Incubus was moving up the charts with their hit Drive, Murph tells us. Bob Cordaro back with you. And, of course, Edward M. Ted Kennedy, scandal-plagued. And his philosophy was, why tell the truth when a lie will do? By the way, ran across this quote from Bill Clinton, David Harris, who I follow on Instagram. And this is Bill Clinton. This is what he said. He's talking about Obamacare. He says, if you've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, he means coverage, they call it health care. Everybody has health care available, and continues. And then the people who are out there busting it, sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world. That's Bill Clinton on Obamacare. It has failed miserably. Hey, let's go to John from DuPont. John, how are you, my man?
Pretty good, Bob. I just want to mention I was listening to watching the news this morning on Fox, and they were going over the daily national news, and they said the report was something like this, that the Iranian forces had struck an Israeli oil dump or something, or oil refinery. And they went on to say that it seems the Iranian forces are quite confused about President Trump's military objectives. And I was thinking, well, hey, join the party, because nobody seems to know what his objectives are. It's nice that he's doing all this stuff, but how about feeding us a clue? I thought Friday was the deadline. Now we see that oil tankers are going through, but only Iranian oil tankers bound for Cuba. I mean, come on. Well, how about if they
John,
don't report the news?
I've got to respectfully disagree with you. I felt like everything, what they intended to do was crystal clear from the beginning. They wanted that you had a potential nuclear weapon, because they've been developing the technology. They're not far away. They told us and told the world that they had enough enriched uranium to make 13 weapons. Yeah. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, their ballistic missile program, they were pumping them out to the tune of 100 a month. And if we had waited even 6 months, like if Trump had done the prudent political thing and waited till after the midterms to do this, they would have had another 1,000 missiles to fire throughout the Middle East and to do damage maybe to our servicemen. And then they've got to degrade the power of this evil group of leaders, and they've done that. So, I mean, they're close to being finished, but
they said they're going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. I mean,
that's got to be the new thing. Yeah,
he's going to open this up, and if they had till Friday, or it's going to be bad if they don't open it up. Now, all of a sudden, he's opening it up for their ships to go to Cuba. I thought we were fighting with Cuba at the same time. It's you gotta put some kind of markers down and stick to them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I've not been unhappy with
in his head concerning his negotiation tactics. I'd rather just tell me the results. It's getting a little aggravating.
I am not disturbed by it at all. I'm telling you, I see the path forward, and Trump does this. This is his negotiating tactic. He goes all over the place, start, and it has worked over and over again, and so I'm not unhappy with it.
I'm a little tired of it, Bob. Like I said, I like to see some concrete results.
But John, we're old guys. Like, come on, if we don't have patience, who does? We got to have a little patience here.
Okay.
Right?
Thanks a lot, Bob.
All right, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if we're not going to have patience, like we've seen these things before. We also know the leadership and the regime in Iran was pure evil. Now, if you study it a little further, you also know that that evil leadership wanted to bring about the return of the 12th Imam. That's their religious dictum. They wanted to bring that 12th Imam back, which signals the end of the world. So they were going to, if they got a nuclear weapon, or if they could cause destruction or a world war, they were committed to doing it. And that's important to know and to put in your pipe when you're thinking about this. These are beyond scary people. It's crazy stuff. And I give him all the credit in the world for doing it now instead of waiting to when it was maybe politically easier. And he didn't. He's doing what has to be done in a lot of different realms. So we wish him continued buona fortuna. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Ricardo's tells me it's 11:31. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, the man, John Basiliga Hospitality. But today and every Monday, we feature Eastern Roofing Systems. I'm going to brag about Basiliga Hospitality later. Eastern Roofing System is one of the largest, and they are the premier industrial, commercial, and institutional roofer in the eastern seaboard of the United States of America. And they take all that expertise, all that buying power, and they bring it to you for your house or your building here in Northeast Pennsylvania because they're headquartered in Jessup. Eastern Roofing Systems. Joseph Mastelar, an avid tinkerer who enjoyed roller skating. He passed away peacefully at his residence Monday, March 16th this year. Born in Benton, He attended Millville High School, graduating with the class of 1961. After that, he went to Penn State Hazleton, where he majored in electrical engineering, a field that suited his precise and analytical mind. He was drafted and served during the Vietnam War as a member of the United States Army Airborne Unit. In the military, he was known for his sharp intellect, teaching signal school at Fort Gordon. In 1974, Joe married the love of his life, the former Diana Dirk. They had celebrated 52 years of marriage, a testament to their enduring love and commitment. Their union was blessed with 4 children, all of whom survive Joe. Joe's professional life was marked by his tenure at Weiss Foods Berwick and his retirement from Conagra in Milton. They would say if Joe couldn't fix it, then it just needed to be thrown away. He had 7 grandchildren, and he did. He loved roller skating, a hobby that serendipitously led him to meet his love, Diane. He was an active member of New Sunrise Vision Church. Joseph Mastelar, our veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Well, Montage Mountain swinging into spring, and they bring you your weather forecast. Today, some sun, then turning cloudy with a shower in places this afternoon, high of 68. Tonight, mostly cloudy, showers around. It'll be about 55. Tomorrow, Tuesday, breezy in the morning with a passing shower, cloudy and very warm, high 77 degrees. It'll get down to 59 for a low. Wednesday, mainly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, 68, low 44. Thursday, considerable cloudiness and cooler with a shower in places, high 56, the low of 48. Friday, cloudy with a couple of showers, Good Friday, high 62, low 54. So a warm weather forecast from our friends at Montage Mountain Resort. And it's 59 degrees at Montage right now as they swing into spring. Check them out. Pearl Jam. Murph tells us this date, 2024. They were moving up the charts with their hit Dark Matter. Bob Cordaro back with all of you on the program. And let's get right to the blower. We got Luciano from Luzerne County. How are you, Luciano?
Thank you for taking my call, Bob. Let me just say this, please. I have to say this. I called this Spanish talk radio personality, and I asked him, it's true, Bob. Listen to this. This is absolutely true. Migrants, illegals are now moving more and more to California and New York and Oregon and about 11 other sanctuary cities. I asked the talk show host, why is this? Is this because the liberal agenda they know they're safe. So they actually showed them on Telemundo moving to those states. Specifically New York, which is bankrupt, I repeat, financially bankrupt, and the state of California, but yet the migrants are moving there, Bob. I agree with your fellow filibuster, because we have about 5% of Republicans that are absolute cowards.
It may be a higher percentage when you consider the U.S. Senate. They won't get rid of the filibuster to get work done. And overcome the Chuck Schumer shutdown and the rest of their obstructionism.
We need to pray to God, because the only one that could save us in November is, I'll say it, Jesus Christ, because we are in serious problems. This theory, I used to poo-poo this theory, but I no longer poo-poo it. This replacement theory, it's absolutely not a replacement theory. It's an absolute fact that we are specifically and strategically being replaced by the Democrats, who want to continue and keep these 15-plus million migrants that invaded this country in the past 5 years, Bob, and there's no longer a theory, like I stated. We need to pray, and we need to pray, and we need to continuously pray. Let me end it by saying this, because just like the Titanic went down, and they said the Titanic would never go down. It was infallible. It was unbreakable. It could not be pierced by anything, and it went down. So this country can easily go down, just like Rome and other Spain. Italy went down, and we can go down. We need to continue praying for this country in November, that we take the House, continue with the House, take the Senate, and pray to the Lord that God protects Donald Trump, and the Supreme Court goes in favor of.
We talk about weak-kneed Republicans and conservatives and common sense people in the U.S. Senate,
Yes.
a dearth of those. But that's the Republican voter. That's the conservative voter who aren't voting. And if we have that happen again, we're in serious trouble this fall. And damage will be disastrous. Thank you, my man. Always a pleasure. It's time for our break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Gerard. Yeah, crazy stuff. The No Kings rally. And somebody texted and said, would you please talk to any one of them that were at this rally and say, well, okay, what did Trump do that violated the Constitution or made him a king? You get nothing back. I don't understand it. And they just continue. Good morning, Bob. I wasn't listening. My dear girlfriend was listening to you when you said there's an ass for every seat. My dearly departed dad always said that phrase, and how true it is, especially in Northeast PA. Yes. Somebody liked Wes Austin, who we play often and I follow on Instagram. The math intro was great. I know. Who would have thought? Let's go to Peter from Shavertown. Peter, how are you?
Bob, LTS.
LTS back at you, brother.
Hey, listen, first a quick note to you and Murph. You guys do a great job of selecting music
That's all
during
Murph.
the show.
It's all Murph.
Always timely for the moment, and he got a big laugh out of me when you said Ooga Chaka. I always wondered why they put that in the song.
Well, somebody said, Tom from Dallas texted in, he says, I used to beg my mother to play the Ooga Chaka song. Nobody knew what the name of it was, right? It was the Ooga Chaka song.
Hey, I want to jump in here on this religious week for us Catholics, and that is, the Pope Leo comment. Somebody else mentioned that was on my mind as well this morning, and I agree 100% with what was said, but I can't imagine or can't believe that he came out a month after the slaughtering of 15, 25,000, whatever, innocent Iranians just protesting in the street, and makes a statement yesterday clearly intended and a shot across the bow, whatever, for Trump, realizing or not realizing and recognizing that what obviously we're trying to do, or he's trying to do as the first president in 47 years, try to free a people. He's not trying to take over a country. He's trying to free a people. So it's kind of crazy that he's out there making that statement.
And Peter, by the way, I have no problem if there's balance in the statements he makes. Say,
right.
Yeah, there's evil in this world, which we need to confront. I wish we could do it without war, something like that. But to not even address the evil that Trump is taking on, it's just dishonest.
Amen. And on to my last comment, which was about confession. I went there yesterday. St. Ignatius had a nice confession program yesterday with 7 priests. There were probably about 300 people lined up in the church with their scrolls, waiting to lay their souls bare. And I was one of them, of course. An old woman tapped me on the shoulder, and she asked which priest our line was heading towards. And I thought first and said, hey, we're in the first phase of our penance, sitting through these lines, because there were a ton of people there. And that was the easy part. I then said to her, I said, judging by the crowds, I'm guessing that most of us don't go to confession often enough. So to your Catholic listeners, you get there, you still got some time. And happy
I have
Easter.
to do that. Yeah, because, I remember I used to go to confession in prison because it was very convenient. And I would say, I really don't know what to tell you. I can't commit many sins here. But forgive me. Thanks, man. Thank you. We played it again because we thought Skeeter Davis was a man. Turns out to be a woman, obviously. And Murph had to correct himself there, but it was a typo. Come on, stop it. Skeeter Davis, with that cute song, this date 1963. She moved up to number 3 with her hit, End of the World. And we're going to finish from March 30, 1974, Carly Simon and James Taylor. They moved up to number 6 with their hit Mockingbird. I guess they didn't keep it together later on, but they loved each other at one time. You know, that's what else can you say? Somebody pointing out Democrat Representative Sheila Cherfilis McCormick found guilty of stealing $5 million in taxpayer funds for purchases, including a 3.14 carat diamond ring. Was she found guilty? I didn't know if they got the trial that quickly. Somebody texted, did you happen to touch on the literal piece of human excrement at the rally in Philadelphia that proclaimed he'd be dancing for every dead American soldier coming home in a body bag? Did you happen to notice all the people there are wearing masks? This is your modern Democrat Party. Yeah, well, here's the point. I think you're conflating two different rallies. I hope you are. If it was said again at the No Kings rally, but there was a pro-Iranian regime rally. Imagine how mentally ill these people are, at which they said they would praise and laugh and cheer and all this at American soldiers coming home dead. I don't know if it happened at the No Kings deal. I'm not sure. Somebody texted in now because we did talk about the Uga Chaka, that song, but by the Blue Suede, Hooked on a Feeling. And somebody texting in, oh, well, here comes Carly and James Taylor. But they said the chant had nothing to do with running bear. It was my idea to use the reggae rhythm in an unusual way, that's all. Because it's commonly claimed that the king, meaning Elvis, had heard Johnny Preston's Running Bear. Okay. We play Running Bear once in a while. Murph will find it. And we love it, obviously. Cabinet guy. All right, wise guy. He says, don't you know what a woman is? Come on, we had a typo. We overcame it. Well, it's great to be back with you guys. You know that. A great weekend. I got to go to Atera. I just love Atera. I love the place is so gorgeous. I got to hang out at Atera. I told you Thursday night we went up to the Old Brook. It was so off the charts. But we did a little bouncing. Got to the Scranton Club a couple times this week for cigars this weekend. And checked out the Altar Bar. Downtown Scranton just opened up in the alley off North Washington Avenue. Pretty good stop. And we went to Pachoki's also. So we had a good weekend. We got everywhere. I got to my Altar Bar. I got to my Atera and got to hang out there a couple times. So I hope you had a good weekend as well. But now we're in the middle of it. It's Holy Week. I'm trying to do a little fasting, some level of sacrifice for this the holiest week of the year for Christians. And let us not forget who we are. And let's not forget our veterans, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Like Bill Checho, Scranton. 105-year-old Joseph Anticoli, Scranton, and Joseph Mastelar, Benton. Love to their families. God bless, and eternal thank you to all of them for what they did for this country. Hey, Tina Morocco, She's your sales advisor at Premier Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. Look her up at Sotheby's International in Naples. Or you go right to the source, TinaMorocco.com, MURACCO, your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. Hey, we're going to do this all again tomorrow, I promise. Well, I can't promise anything. God willing, I'll be with you then. Sue Henry show next. Rob O'Donnell show after that. Somebody says, where in Scranton is a Terra? Right on Linden Street, right in the middle of the block. Gorgeous. You'll see it. You'll see the great Sergei's nightclub sign, and you can't miss a Terra right across from the courthouse. Great stop. Great stop. Happy hour, $10 drinks tomorrow through Saturday. $6 craft beer. Love it. We could afford it, too. All right. Guys, have a great afternoon. But for now, we've got to gavel to a close today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Adios.